Wonderful viewers, you're welcome to your darling station, The Living TV. We're back again on stage today. Remember, this is your favorite program, Nigeria Today. Nigeria Today is a program of The Living TV where we discuss trending issues as it happens. The pidgin English will say as it hot. And that's exactly what we are doing today with wonderful professionals who are seated here on the studio. I also want to announce to you that every opinion of our discussants is entirely theirs and has nothing to do with the Living TV. Today, we are going to look at a lot of issues today and the trending issues also in Nigeria and even in our state here today. And today with me, I have from my far right, Chimezie Ozems. Chimezie Ozems is a broadcaster and also a public affairs analyst. Chimezie Ozems, you're welcome to the program. And also, thank you for having me on the show. Right, I have another wonderful young man here. He is a living saint, that is Saint Dennis Ubani. Saint Dennis Ubani is the Secretary of Nigerian Public Relations in Abia State here, also a lecturer with Abia State Polytechnics, and also a public relations consultant. Saint Dennis, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Hello, Africa. I'm glad to be here.
All right, and your anchorman, Chinedum Adele. We are here again. Today we are going to look at a lot of issues today, but first and foremost, we are going to start with this issue. NLC, that is Nigerian Labour Congress, rejects Buhari's 2 weeks ultimatum, insists on protest. Now, yesterday we also treated a matter like that, the NLC said they are going to continue with this until their demands are met. But today, they've insisted because the federal government had said the NLC is insisting on sympathy to join ASU in this strike. And the federal government has declared that as illegal, but they are insisting on this. This joining, let me start with you, St. Dennis. Joining the ASU in this, is it the proper thing to do? And since the president has given 2 weeks ultimatum, and the 2 weeks has not expired.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. ASU has been on strike for months. This is about 5-6 months right now. And the federal government don't seem to have any plans, any workable plans as to meet the demands. These were issues that have been discussed with the government. These were issues that were agreed with the government. But as at this moment, they renege on the promises they made. And that's why ASU is on strike. So what NLC is saying is that if we fold our hands, things will get worse. So joining ASU, on this strike is proper in the way I see it. And the overriding factor is that they want to bring the government to a point that they can revisit the promises they made. If the government was serious, all along they would have taken action. As I said, it has taken almost half a year. Why should people be at home? The students are even forgetting what they learned in school. We have a situation where some of these guys are not getting pregnant at home. Yes, that's right. What about our medical students? What they learned before, they are forgotten? What about those who are in science-related courses who are not able to remember what they've done again? Those students who are studying mathematics. Mathematics, you leave it for 1 week, you leave it for 1 year. So what NLC is trying to do is to bring government back to the point where everything started. The government ought to have taken action if they were serious. They ought to have taken that decision long ago. So I don't see why NLC cannot take this bold step. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Zems, don't you think that the federal government having given the Minister for Education 2 weeks ultimatum to ensure that this thing is resolved, don't you think it would have been proper to allow them this 2 weeks?
Yes, let me start this way. Since 1999, when democracy was restored in Nigeria, after almost 16 years of uninterrupted military rule, strike action appears to be the only language the federal and the state government understand. And I don't think it is good for our democracy. I don't think it is good for the country. Now look at our children, they have been at home for more than 6 months. And yet politicians, well-to-do public office holders, theirs are overseas studying uninterrupted. I think Nigerian Labour Congress is taking a very good decision by planning to join on sympathy strike with ASU. And also, let me say this, that is why it is necessary to do the right thing at the right time. The professors, they were in a hurry to rig election for politicians, and now the table has been turned against them. So they are at the receiving end. That's exactly what is happening in Nigeria. That should serve as a lesson to them that they should do the proper thing at any point in time. I think NLC should go ahead with that sympathy strike.
All right, NLC.
No, Prof. I think I want to go join issues with what he said. I don't think it's fair to say the professors rig elections. What happens actually is that you are given a script and you have to play along. So if somebody pays you, they say he who pays the piper dictates the tone. So I do not personally believe that the professors, that they are there just to rig elections. I think that actually
I think indirectly, two of you are saying the same thing because they played out the script they were given, and that same script is fighting against them. That's
yes,
exactly
but still, I said that was the only reason why they were there.
All right, and NLC also, NLC also went further to say that the 2 weeks is too much. That within 3 days, since the reasons for the agitation are very plain, open, very conspicuous, then why talking about 2 weeks? And they are giving only 3 days if the government wants to do for something. And another thing also there is they are asking Adamu Adamu to go and resolve within 2 weeks. Is Adamu Adamu armed with the reason for the agitation?
Yeah, that's why I like what you said a little earlier. The issue here is that the federal government or the governments involved lack the charisma, they lack character. They don't have any will. There's no determination to end this strike. Asking for 2 weeks is just a mere rhetorics. They just want a situation where they have more time, buy time. Otherwise, like NLC is saying, they can do the needful in 3 days. What's the needful? There was agreement between the federal government and ASU. Why not execute it? It's very simple. Asking for 2 weeks. Are they going into fresh negotiation? That's the issue here. Why do they need 2 weeks? There have been negotiations for several years. There have been issues. And people have been talking. For how long are we going to be talking? As I said a little earlier, I am angry because I'm involved in education. So I am angry that a lot of our best brains are leaving Nigeria. So many doctors are leaving Nigeria, medical doctors. Most of them, they go out there, they sell. But you leave only the worst to stay in Nigeria. And the only reason why it's like this is because Nigerian government have refused to do the needful. Is it when we lose every intelligent lecturer that they will do something? So many professors have left. I remember a situation where a friend of mine, a medical doctor, went to a particular hospital and she said she was amazed to see that most of the professors she knew in that hospital, they were all gone. Why? It's still this same issue we're having. So I believe that if the federal government is actually sincere, they have a plan, they can execute it. All they need to do is start implementing the issues that have been resolved in the past.
All right.
And also, I want to say something at this point. If you look at what is happening, you will agree with me that the federal government is always in a hurry to enter into an agreement with ASU. And yet, this same federal government is not always in a hurry to honor such agreements. I don't think it's very, very good for us.
It's not
and
right.
If we continue this way, just like my colleague said, we will lose all our professors. And these are our best hands in our tertiary institutions. And the professors, they are not being selfish. They are saying, make the teaching environment conducive for us. They are not only demanding for increased pay packet, but they are saying that let our children learn in a conducive environment. I think that is good. And if you look at UNESCO is saying that 26% of every national budget should be devoted to education. That is the only way you can make a headway. But in Nigeria, it's less than 5%. The whole thing goes to security. And look at how insecure we have become.
All right, the Saint, if you look at what is happening recently, do we attribute this to one of the major reasons why political leaders or these big-time the bourgeois in Nigeria will always want to send their children abroad? Is that one of the reasons why they don't want to look inwards and ensure that lecturers get back to classes?
Yeah, the very obvious fact is that we managed to survive subjugation from the white man, but then we have a system where even our own very elites, our own brothers, are now trying to subjugate us. You know, you look at it, there is no intent whatsoever to make education interesting in Nigeria. Because if you look at the scenario, a situation where, okay, I think that recently Wike's child graduated abroad, the same thing with Atiku, all right?
El-Rufai.
El-Rufai, all right? All of them. Now, and these are people who have the capacity to insist that we have the best in this place. If our education can compete with what is obtainable anywhere else, you find out there will not be any need for them to go outside. It's because they deliberately, I think the word is deliberate. They deliberately make sure that our education is poor so that there be a class difference between the elites and the downtrodden. If you know now, I think that recently there has been this issue involving Ike Kuremadu. And people are saying if the health sector in Nigeria was good, would he have had to go to London to do transplant?
Yeah, we've discussed that here too.
Okay, fine. So the only reason why they will need to go abroad is because that they perpetually decided to put Nigerians in subjugation. Why do we elect people? We elect them so that they can stay in authority and pioneer our affairs for all of us. But they get there, they become selfish. They get there, they think about themselves alone. A situation where they are the only ones who are noticed. It's unfair. That's not why we elected them.
All right, Ozems, recently, since yesterday and today, the federal government has been on air announcing that the same party strike proposed by NLC is illegal and would not want to fold their hands. Do you think this is a mere threat, or do you think the government will have something against the NLC?
Yes, the government is becoming afraid, the central government, because of what the Nigerian Labour Congress is planning to do. Just like I said earlier during the outset of this very program, I want to tell you that the federal government is insincere. They are not ready to negotiate with ASU, and that is why they are afraid when NLC says that, look, we want to join our brothers and sisters in their strike. I think they are doing the right thing. We are in a democracy. Democracy is not a military regime which don't tolerate any opposition. NLC should go ahead with that strike, but they should make sure that strike is not hijacked by hoodlums. Maybe that's the fear of the federal government. In that case, they have a valid excuse why NLC should not go ahead with that strike. NLC should make sure that the strike is not hijacked by hoodlums, by bandits.
All right.
Yeah. I want to add something to what he said. In a democracy, strike is part of negotiation too. And then it's legitimate, is accepted all over the world. In fact, ideally, the police is obligated to protect those who are striking. So we must understand that. But talk about hijacking it. Let us be honest with ourselves. If you see tomorrow that hoodlums are there, know that they were sponsored. Because NLC agitating for a revisit of the promises to the ASU cannot go the same time that they are striking to get better issues. They cannot at the same time also spoil it. So if tomorrow we hear that there are hoodlums breaking things, we know where those hoodlums are coming from. We know who they are.
All right, let us drift a little to Imo State. where an eyewitness announced that he saw how his 7 brothers were murdered by the Ibubago operatives. And this happened on Sunday, and 14 youths were returning from a traditional wedding in Awamama Uru, in Uru West local government area, and they were intercepted on Okada and killed these young men. Yesterday we looked into that matter, and we also had the governor of the state saying that these guys are bandits. And the question, the young man who was an eyewitness said, when he started shouting, "We are not criminals, we are not criminals," and because he knew one of the leaders, he called him by his name, and that was how he was saved. They took him to the office, took him to where they had a traditional marriage to confirm. But before then, about 9 of them had been arrested. In situations like this, it is only between Imo State and Ebonyi State that these Ibubago people are doing this. Ozems, what is your take on this? And will the government allow this? Since the government is involved, the government of Abia State is involved, would the federal government and individuals have something to do or say about this? And from the other corner, before you go ahead, they said these are people who are anti to who oppose the mass government.
Yes, I want to say that since the coming of Opozadema as the governor of Imo State, I want to tell you that Imo State, particularly Oluzon, has become a theater of war. It has been turned into a killing field. And the hardest hit are youths, who are the future of every country. If you look at what is happening also, it seems that the governor or the Imo State governor is waging a war against his own people. I have not seen a governor or a government that wage a war against his people and succeed. He is not approaching this matter from the right angle. You have to hear your people. You can organize a town hall meeting. Where have we heard as a government? Allow the people to say their opinion. This is a democracy. You cannot tell me that you will be fighting from day one. There is no way he can concentrate. He has been distracted. He cannot perform because there is an ongoing war. But the government is saying that it's not a Ibubago. Maybe he wants to save the officers of Ibubago. That the killings were done by the secret police, that the DSS. Now, what should be done is that we have journalists in Imo State. Yes. They should go in and investigate who actually killed those guys.
All right, they should go in and investigate how these killings happened. All right, Seth, now looking at Ibubago, is a body, let's agree and believe that it was, instituted by the state government. Even if they had apprehended this man, we're not supposed to take them to the police for the law to take its course, since they are main vigilante group.
Yeah, actually, what happened has confirmed, or rather, highlighted our fears about this so-called state police. It's been long our people have been agitating for state police.
Exactly.
So this is a test of what will happen when we have state police. You see a situation where the governor will be almighty. Anybody that opposes him or says what he doesn't like, he will use the state police to go after him. Now, the Ibubago as it is, we have always seen their antecedents in the past. You see, it's a situation where a sitting governor uses them against opponents and perceived enemies. This is where the problem is, perceived enemies. If these young men shouted, "We are not criminals," it doesn't take anything to at least investigate them. They say we are coming back for a traditional wedding. Why not take them to the place they say they are coming from, the traditional wedding, and have the people identify them? I have had a situation.
One of the survivors they took to the place.
So, and he was identified. So it's obvious that if they are taking the rest of the people, they also would have been identified. But it does appear as if there is some secret plan all along. That what they've been doing, like my brother said, in Imo, it appears that you call you call these boys bad names so you can get them down. I know a friend who told me that in his village, no young man is there. They sleep in the bush. All right? Why? Because they just, they say the easiest way to kill a dog is to call it a bad name, so you can kill it. So every youth in Imo State today is, if they are not called IPOB, they are called bandits. So that, so they can be shut down. What we are doing, we are appealing to the governor of Imo State. He's one of us. He's our brother. To consider the fact that he's there on the trust of the people. He should take time to make peace with his people. The killing in Imo State is so much. The blood has been laid is so much, and it has a way of backfiring.
Yes. Those bloods, they have a way of backfiring. That's from the Senate. All right. Recently, the monetary...
And if you remember our former former president's wife, will always warn, this blood we are sharing. This blood we are sharing in Imo.
Yeah, there is God.
There is God. This blood we are sharing in Imo. There is God.
Oh yeah, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria have shown serious concern and over the nation's debt, sustainability in the light of current global uncertainty. And they're saying this, according to the committee, the federal government increasing debt profile is worrying, noting that there is an urgent need for government to diversify its revenue base. And looking at this, Jose, talking about borrowing, and from what the CBN is talking about, it has continued. And if you go down, if you follow the story down, and they are not even stopping, even as we speak. That even generations unborn may not be able to do this or to pay back this. So how are we looking at this? What's your take on this as it concerns the federal government? And meanwhile, the government that is doing this will soon leave office.
I think every Nigerian should be concerned with the amount the country is owing. According to DMO, in the past 20 years, Nigeria has borrowed 224 trillion naira. And most of these monies are coming from the Asian tigers. And you know what they do? If you default, they will seize your national asset. It happened in Uganda. And I see that happening again in Nigeria. There is nothing wrong in borrowing. But the point is, what are you going to use the money for? But the case of Nigeria is different. In Nigeria, all these monies, they are mainly used for recurrent expenditure. They are not channeled into production. And that's the tragedy of the situation. So if they borrow and channel it into production, that is very, very good. There is every indication that the country will be able to pay. But this is for consumption. We are not producing, and yet we are still borrowing. I don't think we are on the right path.
All right, looking at this, with all this amount of money borrowed, has it in any way affected the common man in Nigeria positively? Well,
you and I know that what was problem in 2019 is still a challenge in 2022, and it's so sad. Very unfortunately, we have a president or leadership that is interested in borrowing, and I'm sure that the borrowing has become a culture. And like my colleague here has said, when this money is borrowed, it's not being channeled into production, which is where we have our problem. If it was being channeled into production, we would have made some money and be able to pay back. However, this money is borrowed, and then it ends up in some accounts, unfortunately. But then let me digress a little bit to ask. The money that has been discovered, I know there was a house was it in Lagos? They said they discovered money. What have they done with some of this money? The money that were recovered from Abacha, the Abacha loot, where has it gone to? So we see a situation, what about all those governors and former ministers who were said to have looted and they recover this money? We only hear when they recover this money, but we don't hear where the money goes to. And we also hear that they are borrowing and borrowing and borrowing more. So there's not been any change. So sad to say this, there's not been any change. In fact, things are getting out of hand. What is the value of the Naira today? The Naira has continued to go down. And there is no effort whatsoever to work on the Naira. And that's where we have problem. It's not even like the issue we're discussing. ASUU is talking about paying a backlog of what's being owed. But today, what will be the value of that money when it's given to them? It has lost its purchasing power. So we have not seen any improvement, and the average Nigerian has not benefited at all. We are still having some issues. Even when you pay salary where you work, those who are lucky to get paid, and you go to market, what can you buy with it? It's so sad. Today, in our local menu, to feed, you need at least 1,000 naira. Meanwhile, Nigerian government approved, I think the salary they approve is 20,000 naira for a month, and you pay 30,000 naira, right? And then you eat minimum wage, okay? It's 30,000 naira at the moment, but then if you go to market, you are not you cannot fetch you a bag, even one bag of rice. A bag of rice is 33,000 naira. Meanwhile, somebody's salary is 30,000 naira in a month. And how many companies are even implementing the 30,000 naira minimum wage?
Even some state governments.
Okay, but some people are still being paid 15,000, 20,000 naira in Nigeria today. So what is the purchasing power? What can they do? I think that all the borrowings we've had over the years has not really impacted our people.
All right. Ozims, what do you think it's going to be the benefit, or rather the understanding of our children of tomorrow, these upcoming youths and so on, when they say the youths are the leaders of tomorrow and so on, with this level of borrowing and the level of indebtedness in this country, what do you think is the hope of the young ones?
Yes, I want to say that we have signed a pact with underdevelopment, and the youth are at the receiving end. That is why many Nigerians are willing to leave the shores of this nation and travel overseas, where life is more conducive in organized society. And that is why our youth, they are more interested in getting money at any point, because there is no future for them. But I want to say that there is still hope. Everything borders on good leadership. Good leadership has been in short supply in Nigeria, and that is where we are facing all these self-inflicted challenges. They are self-inflicted. They are man-made. We are responsible for what is happening. Our youth are facing a terrible future. This generation, this particular generation, I don't know how we are going to cope. Look at all these people that are implementing all these bad policies. They are products of public schools. They enjoyed at a time that can be described as the golden era of Nigeria's development. But today, they have destroyed everything. So the future of the youth is not secure as of now.
Yeah. All right, shortly before we go on break, Dennis, if first one, shortly before we go on break, what do we refer to as government insensitivity?
Okay, thank you. But even before then, you said that the leaders, the youths are the leaders of tomorrow. The question we have been asking is, when is tomorrow? We were told that education is the key to success. Yes. Incidentally, when we got educated, they changed the padlock. So even with the key, you cannot also have access.
You don't have access.
Yeah? So that's the problem. You talk about youth being the leaders of tomorrow, and we still have presidential candidates who were in their 80s and in their 90s, even if they tell us they are 60s or 70s, we know the truth. So when is tomorrow? When will tomorrow come? That's where the problem is.
So the insensitivity.
That's part of the insensitivity. If we are talking about the youths being the leaders of tomorrow, it starts with appointing youths into positions of authority. I remember, I think it's Norway. It's a young girl in her 30s who is the prime minister in Norway. And I can't remember the country where the president, she's about 35, and all the other ministers, all young women, within the range of 30 and 40.
Joseph Ankara.
Okay, fine. So, but way back here in Nigeria, tell me any state the governor is within the bracket we can call youth. Tell me which of our ministers. I even say our minister of sports. I don't know how old he is, but minister of sports. What will it stop us from using some of these boys who are playing for us and put him as a minister of sports? You see that things will change. One, they watch all European league, they watch the Brazilian league, they watch all these leagues. They will bring home what they have seen done in other places. So government is insensitive when it fails to put in these young people in positions of authority. How would they learn? There's supposed to be this issue of tutelage, apprenticeship. Bring in these young people. They understudy the system and they are able, when the time comes, in parentheses, if the time will ever come, they'll be able to do the right thing.
Yes, the government of today, we all pray they'll be more sensitive and proactive to issues. Distinguished gentlemen and ladies, our wonderful viewers, we will be having a short break and we'll be back in a jiffy. Don't touch the dial and remain with us, Living TV. Remember, we'll always bring the world first to you.
Admission is ongoing at Living TV Film Academy, Aba, Abia State, for candidates wishing to study filmmaking and mass communication for skill certificate training and degree programs, including mandatory NYSC post-degree service. Courses offered are Department of Journalism and Media Studies, Broadcast Journalism, TV Presentation, Filter Journalism, Department of Film and Multimedia Studies, Cinematography, Acting, Video Editing, Film Production, Website Designing, Modeling and Makeup, Bead Making, Screenwriting, Theatre Arts, Department of Broadcasting, Script Writing, Journalism, Reporting, Software Programming, Mobile and Web App Development, Audio Production, Graphic Designing, Digital Animation, Special Effects, Social Media Management. Entry qualifications: candidates must possess 5 credits in WASICAM GCE, NAPTEB or equivalent. We have the following technical infrastructure for students' skills acquisition: an art theatre well equipped for modern digital television and radio studios open for hire to the public, an audio suite for music production, soundtracks, sound effects, jingles and voice-over, etc. A 50 feet by 40 feet chroma studio, largest in Africa for special effects, world-class rendering facilities for post-production rendering, animation and cartoon technology, assorted professional cameras, drones, etc. A film village with epic and village houses for theatre arts and epic films making. Our studies are skill-oriented with well-qualified academic and technical teachers. We also admit students on industrial training and internship from other institutions. Professional license will be issued to graduates to practice as professionals by Bollywood, a registered professional organization for filmmakers. Wow! What are you waiting for? Rush now and obtain our admission form with 2,000 Naira only at our main campus, number 1 Judges Road, 5th floor, former UBA House by NEPA, Waterside Descent, Aba, Abia State, Nigeria, or visit our website, livingradio.com.ng, the Academy, www.livingtvfilmacademy.com, email livingtvfilmacademy@gmail.com, or call 0805 367 3900 or 0816 641 1400. Signed, Registrar.
You're welcome back, our wonderful viewers, still on Living TV, where we bring the world first to you. We're still on our wonderful program, Nigeria Today. And my guests are still the same, Chimeze Ozems and St. Dennis Ubani. We are still on it. Right now we'll be looking at the Christian Association. This owns bishops who visited the Shetima's unveiling. And then they said though they were bishops who were saying that the Catholic bishop came out categorically to say that those bishops were hired and are not of the Catholic, bishop. And then the Tinubu has insisted that it must be Shetima. That is Muslim text. And what is that? What does that spell to our democracy, Zems?
Yes, if you look at what happened in 1993, that election has been adjudged to be the freest in Nigeria. Talk of Abiola and Babagana Kingibe. It was a Muslim ticket. But at that time, Nigeria was still one country. There was unity. There was peace. It was impossible to differentiate a Fulani from a Hausa from Igbo, or even from a Jew. We saw ourselves as one Nigeria. But today, somebody from the north will see himself first and foremost as a northerner before a Nigerian, and it should not be that way. And that is why we are concerned today about ethnicity and religion. Now, we are not talking about competence. We are not talking about efficiency any longer. It is now religion. But I am not a card-carrying member of any political party. But I want to say that Tinubu made a very grave mistake by picking a Muslim northerner. Is he saying that there is no Christian in the north who is competent to be his vice presidential candidate? Now, how do you want Christians in the north to vote for you? Then you are saying that you are insensitive to the Christians of Nigeria. And a Nigerian asks a question: if we can be in this state when we have a Christian as a vice president, what will happen when we have a Muslim president and vice president? You can, your guess is as good as mine.
Okay.
Now from reports, I wasn't there. It seems that those people, they were not real bishops. They were hired, and some have even confessed that they said that they are going to.
They were surcharged. They were surcharged.
100,000 naira per person. But at the end of the event, they were only paid 40,000 naira.
Some 30,000.
Some were paid 30,000 naira. So the deceit has started already.
No, I think it goes to show, what Tinubu really wants to do. He will go to any extent to win the election, and it's so sad. Even one of those so-called bishops confessed. He said it. In fact, somebody identified either the chairman of Nigerian Union of Road Transport Workers, chairman of Oshodi. In fact, the picture is there. He was one of the people who was paid and given the cloth to go and dress as a bishop. The picture is viral now. So it shows that the people who were there were not really Christian pastors.
Even the real bishops said even the way they put on the robes.
Yes.
Even the cap they put, you just notice that these people were strange to the costume. Okay? But then there's something worse going on. The fact that these people are now willing to put a Muslim president goes to show that they are now saying that Nigeria is a Muslim nation. If you check, all the military chiefs until recently were all from the north.
Yeah.
All the service chiefs from the north. Then you talk about all principal officers. You talk about the president of the Senate is from the north. The speaker of House of Assembly, even though he's Yoruba, he's also a Muslim. You talk about custom, talk about immigration, talk about any key office is there from the north. And this is one of the requirements for a nation to be an Islamic nation. So if they now succeed in having president and vice president are not just Muslim but also from the corner, it means that Nigeria is now officially a Muslim state. And that is why we will say no.
Yeah, that's why so many quarters will say that will be the fulfillment of the Islamization agenda. All right, our wonderful viewers, you can always call on to air your view, ask questions to our wonderful guests, and you can as well make your contributions. And the number to call us on is 0916 828 4994. I take it again, 09168 284 994. You can call us and make your contributions. All right, recently the National Board for Technical Education made an announcement that threw almost both the students and the inhabitants of Abia into a serious agog. And what is the student that the statement that the NBTE has withdrawn Abia State Polytechnic's accreditation. It's not talking about a particular department, just like in the case of the ABSU that happened recently, but the entire Polytechnic. And then it happened yesterday, though we discussed part of it here, but today, immediately after that, the government did not rest, but we are going to look into the press release by the government and then know if that is the right thing to have been done or if there should be anything discussed. So look at it. Let us look at the government special announcement. Following the recent action of the National Board of Technical Education, NBTE, against Abia State Polytechnic Aba, the governor of Abia State, Okeze Victor Igdazo, PhD, appeals to our dear students of Abia Poly and other well-meaning Abians to remain calm. Government views the decision of NBTE against the institution as a very embarrassing and capable of destabilizing the current peace and harmony existing in the state, as the fate of the students of the institution appears to be jeopardized by the said action. It must be placed on record that academic activities have been ongoing in the institution without interruptions. The teachers and staff of Abia Poly were not on strike and have remained committed to their duties. As part of the measure to reposition the institution, government hereby announces the immediate dissolution and suspension of the council and management of the institution respectively. In line with the foregoing, government has approved the constitution of a task force to restore the accreditation of Abia Poly within 30 days. Membership of the task force include Prof. Zikechi Mboji, the chairman, Dr. John Mwadioha, member, Honorable Jude Udajara, member, Reverend Father Kelechi Anyanwu, PhD, member, Mrs. Love Ezema, MNI, member, and Stanley Mapa, SUG president of Abia Poly, also member. Now the question now to ask, if you are listening to the news yesterday, the NBT, they were very, very plain and frank in saying that they have written the governor severally to ensure that the lecturers are paid. And now that is one of the major reasons for the withdrawal of the accreditation. Yeah. Now, what do you think? You are a staff of Abia Poly. What do you think of what impact do you think that this task force, or is it going to be the type of 2 weeks ultimatum we already gave to Adamu?
Well, let's start from the starting. What is accreditation? Now, accreditation is certification, is affirmation that yes, you have what it takes to run this program or run this school. In this case, I think it's not really bad as people think. What NBTE is saying is that lecturer has been owed, and it's true. They say 30 months, and that is true. Some people believe it's more than 30 months, and but that's not the issue here. Now, the issue is that they said lecturers are being owed. It is not that there are no the lecturers are not qualified.
No.
It's not that the standard of education is poor or low. It's not even that there are no infrastructure. What they're saying is simple, that lecturers are being owed salaries. And of course that has implications. When you don't pay lecturers, that it has
they can't give them their best.
That's the point. They can't give in their best, and they can also resort to under the table practices. All right, like selling grades. You know, they could do that.
But extorting students.
Extorting students. All right. These are some of the implications. But as I said, it's not a bad case. If accreditation was based on standard of education or lack of infrastructure, it would have been terrible. So in this case, what a responsible government would do is to go straight to the issue raised by NBTE, which is what? Paying the lecturers. And I think that Abia State government is very lucky. The lecturers of Abia State Polytechnic are the best all over the world. You see a situation where they are old and they are still coming to school to teach. They are not even extorting money from the students, and they are what? Still lecturing. So what they need to do is what is very simple. Go and meet these lecturers, pay them. Meet these lecturers, pay them. And then meet these lecturers, pay them. These are the three things they should do. If they pay these lecturers, I am sure that their accreditation will be restored. And if we want to tell ourselves the truth, you find out that even with the announcement by NBTE, lectures are still going on. I tell you the truth, lectures are still going on campus. So that the NBTE has made this announcement has not affected lectures. Lectures are still going on. I see a crop of lecturers that are committed, that are dedicated, and they have this human kindness. So a responsive government should immediately meet with these lecturers and effect the payment of their salaries. Because Abia State Polytechnic lecturers are wonderful.
All right, Zems. It's true, lectures may be going on because in the announcement of NBT, they also said they have equally written to NYSC. They have also written to other bodies that concerns this technical education. I know as we speak now, the outgoing students are preparing for their youth service. So it's not all about the quality of studies going on, but after this work, what will they, after the education, what will they gain if they don't serve and stuff like that? So Zems, what do you think is the effect of these on the students?
Yes, the effect is very tremendous. It will impact negatively on the students and even the economy of the university. Now let us talk about the effect on the students. I want to tell you that many students will be discouraged.
While you're talking, sorry, while you're still in your view, we'll see if we can get Professor Kechi Mboji, who is the chairman of this committee, and see what he has to say, okay, and see if there are proper plans to ensure that this accreditation is returned. Go ahead.
Okay, just like I was saying, I want to tell you that many students will be discouraged, and also parents will also be discouraged. It's like I don't know the fate of my child who is a student of Abia State Polytechnic Aba. And also I want to tell you that what happened at Abia Poly was like an accident waiting to happen. We have every opportunity to correct what happened before it happened. But just like my colleague said, it's not a bad case. It all depends on how you choose to understand it. And we are living in a society where every issue is being politicized. It's not a bad case in the sense, but my worry is that I've been wondering the magic Ikechi Mboji and his 6-member task force committee will perform, because I know that MDTE must insist that the 30 months or 36 months being owed the lecturers must be fully paid before the accreditation is restored. That's the danger. And I've been wondering how the Abia State government will be able to raise such a huge amount to pay the lecturers at that point. But I want to tell you that the state government started on a very good note by constituting a panel that will ensure that the accreditation is restored within 30 days. But let us see what they are going to achieve.
Okay, Sen, you are an insider. Do you think the problem should be on the state government alone? What about the management of the institution? Are they doing what they are supposed to do? Because we know that students pay their fees, their tuition fees, and some other things. And so do you think the management of the institution, though they've been dissolved, do you think they did what they were supposed to do?
Well, you have to look at it this way. The management are under the government, and management will not take a decision that will run contrary to what the government, wants. That's on that side. But then you look at it, the student population of Abia Poly has dropped tremendously. And with that, the money accrued by the institution has also gone down. There was a time that Abia Poly had student population, that runs in thousands. I think there was a time they had about 26,000 or thereabouts, somebody said. But then, if the number of students we have has gone down, and then that also affects the number of students paying these school fees. So with the little money that is here, it's not really easy to run the school. You see a situation where so much is owed.
The customer you're calling is
Okay.
Yeah, so
Go ahead.
okay, so as I say, the number of students paying school fees has dropped, and this debt has run for as long as 36 months or thereabout, as people say. So you find out that the situation, students pay only once a year, don't forget that. And you're looking at 12 months in a year that salaries have to be paid. And then you talk about other running costs, and it all comes from that money. So it's not really easy for the school management to keep the school going. There are several other running costs that comes in. It's not really the problem of the management.
Okay, recently, I wouldn't want to say from a grapevine, but it is a known fact that since after the exit of the former rector of that college, A.A. Onukog, Elder Onukog.
Yes.
Yes, all these other rectors ranging from the Algon and even the recent one, they live in hotels while there is a quarter meant for this. And they don't just stay in a hotel where you pay about 10 or 20,000.
They have a guest house.
They have.
Abia Poly has a guest house.
Yes.
They prefer to stay in hotels.
They prefer to stay in hotels. And this money is what they eat and their guests is all Abia State Polytechnics. It is taken from Abia State Polytechnics purse. And even somebody, an insider once told one of our reporters, that the most disheartening thing is that at the end of a month, that a particular rector may be taking away 2 million naira, and not in the salary. Yeah. Don't you think this is one of the problems, and that is also what the state government is looking at?
Okay. Yeah. First, let me clarify an issue. For a rector to prefer to live in a hotel when there is a quarter. All right.
In fact, one of them, while living in a hotel, he was still taking about 120,000 naira weekly for diesel in the quarter he's not even living.
Well, these things are not substantiated. These are rumors or allegations that people have made. But as
excuse me, my brother.
Yeah, no, but I was going to say something.
Excuse me. Okay. I'm not a lecturer there. I once did a report on Abia Poly. All these things were unearthed.
Yeah.
What he is saying is a fact. What he is saying is a fact. I did a report on Abia Poly.
Okay. And somebody said he knows a rector that was living in a hotel, yes, collecting the money, and at the same time, yes, collecting 100,000 naira, 20,000 naira. Somebody identified the rector. I think that these things are mere allegations. Before a rector will live in a guest house, the guest house will have to be in order. As it is at this moment, I am not sure.
That was living in that particular place before he left, messed it up, or he was managing there.
Of course, you know there have been natural defects that will be need to put that place in a living condition. I wouldn't say it was Onukog, but I know that over time, the place has been subjected to use for a long while. I think it needs to be refurbished and put in order again. I know that the
And
rectors...
you don't think that this money that are wasted in a hotel could be put together and used to refurbish the place?
Yeah, that's where I will align my thoughts. But then I'm not holding brief for the Polytechnic. I'm not holding brief. I'm not the PRO who knows better. But I think that what is happening here is that the institution where the facility is not in a very good order for the rector to live in it at the moment. But once it's put in order, which I think will be part of the things that the committee have been recently announced by the government, once they get into work, they will look into these issues. But then again, I don't also want to subscribe to the understanding that there is a rector that takes home 2 million naira on a monthly basis, because you see the process of getting money out is not as simple as we think outside here. You know, when you are outside, you always think the rector has his hand.
When there is a conspiracy within the management, what happens?
So if there is a conspiracy, then the rector will not share the 2 million naira. You know, it means the process. But then we do not know for sure. We do not know for sure. This is an allegation. It has not been proven anywhere.
Then are we saying that the sole responsibility of not paying is as a result of the government's failure?
I wouldn't say it's government failure. Like I said a little earlier, a lot of issues are involved. One, the student population of Abia Poly has gone down, and with it, the resources coming to the school has also leaned. We need to look at all these things, and then, you know, that's also why we have to work on the present pronouncement by MBTE, because it's going to have a spillover effect on the school. So where more students will drop, and then no parent will even want to send to go to Abia Poly. So we have to look at issues like this, and then you say if it happens, the funds, the fees coming in will drop a little further.
All right, Ozems, we are still talking about, and that is maybe where we'll be capping the camera for today. And looking at what is happening in Abia, the newly appointed task force chairman, you know, of Abia Poly. But unfortunately, we are not getting him. Unfortunately, we are not getting him. All right, so what is your take? And then, what do you think will happen to these committees set by the state government if they fail in 30 days to get back this accreditation?
Yes, for the sake of our children who are students of Abia Poly, I don't want them to fail. I want them to succeed within that 30 days. I want to tell you that you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. It all depends on the willpower. Just like I said earlier, I think the Abia State government took a very wise decision by constituting a task force that will ensure that the accreditation is restored within 30 days. But just like I said also, my fear is that whether MBTE will make it a condition that all the salaries must be paid before accreditation is restored. And my fear is that I don't know how the state government will raise such a huge and colossal amount to pay the lecturers. But it is possible to restore that accreditation. It's 100%. And let us tell ourselves the truth. It's not all that bad.
Okay, no.
Okay. There's where before we go, there's where we also want you to look at. I don't think paying salaries of that is about 3 years. I don't see it coming that easy. But I don't think that the government can pay for about 6 months and also plead with the lecturers and even NBT.
Yes.
Don't you think this will be restored?
Yes, even as we speak now, do you know that these lecturers are still committed to their function, to their duties?
Okay.
Lectures are still going on, which means that even with the fact that lecturers are being owed, they are still delivering lectures. So I see a situation where if the government interfaces with the lecturers, I don't know whether they'll pay 1 year, I don't know whether they'll pay 6 months. I see that the lecturers will come. The lecturers, I think they are the best. You can talk about in Nigeria. But I need to also use this opportunity to show our people that the standard of education in Abia Poly is still the same. It's very high. Nothing has gone down. The issue here is that lecturers are old. Not that infrastructure is bad, not that quality of education is bad. So nobody really should be worried. What will happen is that the government should interface with the lecturers and pay salary.
Hello, good day, man. Yeah, this is Living Television. We are on a program we tag Nigeria Today. Incidentally, one of the discussions we are having today is about Abia Poly, and we learned that you, Mrs. Love Ezenwa, is one of the members of the task force set up to ensure that in 30 days that the accreditation for Abia State Polytechnic will be back. We've tried getting at the chairman, but his line has been very busy. So now we want to ask, in as much as we don't want you to tell us the terms of reference, how certain are Abians sure that in 30 days this accreditation will be back to Abia State Polytechnic?
As God said, we believe in God, and we believe that God will restore everything that is the problem is there.
Okay.
So 30 days donation is achievable as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
If we wade into the matter.
Okay.
I know that by the special grace of God, everything will be fine. I just think with the students to return.
Okay, one more question, Ma. Please, with what is happening, and we've seen one of the things is to ensure that in 30 days that accreditation is back. Is there any arrangement to pay part of this salary to the lecturers within these 30 days?
One thing you should understand is that the lecturers were not on strike. They were not striking. There was no striking in Abia Poly.
Yes, that is true.
For what has happened, you cannot allude it to the fact that salaries were not paid.
But that is the MBT. That is the MBT agitation.
Excuse me. We have been appointed to do a job, a task force job, and what you need to do is to allow us to do it. By the time we finish it, I'm very sure Abia will be happy. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having you. That is Mrs. Love Ezema MNI, member of the task force to restore within 30 days the accreditation of Abia State Polytechnics. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.
That's a cheering note.
Yes. Yes, viewers, I'm sure you heard it all. That is one of the members of the task force recently appointed by the state government. And you heard from the horse's mouth, and she had assured that within these 30 days, the Abians are going to smile. So there is no need for the students to panic. Stay where you are, and thank God the lecturers are such a wonderful Abians who are gifted to serve. And they are not on strike, and even as we speak, they are on their various classes, teaching, lecturing now. So that is to tell us that it's going to be well. It's rather well. All right, viewers, this is where we're going to stop in today's program of Nigeria Today. Remember, our guest you have on telly today is Chimezie Ozems. Chimezie Ozems, thank you for coming.
Thank you also for having me on the program. God bless you.
And St. Dennis Ubani, thank you for coming.
I'm glad you invited me.
All right, viewers, I want to thank you. And we're going to have another wonderful super edition. So just keep watching Living TV. Some of our other programs will be coming on your way. Don't touch the dial. Thank you. And I remain yours, Chinedu.